What's going on, people? So last my reviews for today, right? Got this right here. So we're gonna jump on into this so this video doesn't get drug out too long. For those who missed it, this right here is the Asics Sonicblast in the Winter Sea colorway. The only reason I remember that name is because I have a pair of Kayano 32s in the same color, and like when I bought these, I almost didn't get this color because I was like, that looks cool, but I feel like it's a little close to those other shoes I have. It was the same. It wasn't just close. It was the same. Anyway, so moving on past that, let's go ahead and jump on into this thing. Down there, across the bottom, what you're looking at, geez, this one looks disgusting too. It used to be white. Either way, so down there, across the bottom of the shoe, right? Not a whole lot going on. It looks very much like a lot of the other modern day running shoes you've seen from Asics, you know, a little bit of grip stuff going on here and there, right? The big thing being that in the middle you can kind of see through it because there's a plate inside, right? I don't know what material that plate is, but it is a plate. Moving on up here to the midsole, right? So they're all whited out still. And I will say one thing over here in the front piece under the Flight Foam Turbo Squared, you do have like a part where you can kind of see the plate going on down there. Let's get to the back end. It kind of reminds me of the Novablast style, and it's like this broken glass sort of look, which is a cool thing, in my opinion. That's really all the Novablast have going for it, is like a cool look. And moving on back over here to the inside real quick. So similar setup, right? In the front you can kind of see the plate poking through just a wee bit there. Then in the back you got more of that sort of like lined out thing that they do, right? Again, it makes for a cool look. Now as far as like the overall view of this shoe, like it's very much not a lot happening, right? It's a very same upper throughout, looks very plain, and a lot of the color options that they have aren't anything special right now. I think there's only like the 3 of them or something, but you know, they get the job done, so I won't complain about that. Not everything needs to look fancy. I will say though, like this overall mesh sort of upper that they have, it works out fine, it feels really good. But I do like the combination, like the light blue and the white that they used for the outside here, where you have the Asics logo. So that's pretty nice. And if you caught it on the inside, you do have the same one going on in there too, right? So nothing too crazy about it, but it's just a nice look. And so that's basically that as far as you go on like the visual piece. Jump back to the front, you know, standard laces and all that stuff, nothing crazy about it. Inside just says Sonicblast, so that's all that's going on in there. The padding around like the sock iron and all that stuff worked out fine for me. I had no complaints about it. A lot of people complained in the comments section of the Asics page about these. I don't know how much to take away from this, but I will tell you this. Like from what I've seen, there can be value in negative comments, there can be value in positive comments. So I don't really just write them all off or whatever. But I can just tell you this, for me, for my build, for how I run, whatever, I did not have any issues with like the top back piece rubbing against me or like causing any bleeding or blisters or whatever. So take that, do whatever you want to with it, and just know this though, I will point it out. Most people do like to share their negative thoughts, right? More so than the positives. So for every person that complained about these, there was probably like a whole lot of people that were just fine and just chose to say nothing, because that's often how the comment sections tend to work. So there's going to be that for you. Anyways, I'm going to do the same thing I did before with this one and switch the content up just a little bit. I'm going to give you the sizing and the performance, the comfort and all that stuff now. And then I'll get to my personal opinion after the fact as far as these compared to like other things and all that stuff, right? And how do I really feel about them. So that way if you want to leave after the main part, you don't have to sit through too much of this. Though I do put timestamps, so I guess it doesn't much matter, does it? Whatever. Sizing, comfort. That's where we are in this video. I bought these in a size 9.5, right? I have a size 9.5 foot, you know, it tends to work out on pretty much everything, honestly. And this was no different. I had like the right amount of room in there. Everything felt pretty good. So the upper also felt pretty nice as far as like the material. Nothing amazing, right? But I had no complaints either. Now, the midsole, that's where the complaints kind of come in. This is a plated shoe, right? So it is not going to be comfortable in any sort of way when it comes to standing or walking, right? It is only fine when you're running. That's what I will pass on to you, right? Because they're not made for anything else. They're made to be used for that. It is an everyday trainer, right? So it's not a carbon plate in there. Whatever that material is, it's just good enough. Think like the Magic Speeds or the Glide Rides, right? Things like that. The Kensei Max from older times. Now, when I was out there running in these, though, they did perform very well. I had no complaints about that. I took them out for a 5K, didn't feel like I was putting in a whole lot of effort. Pulled off like a high 630s on that, and I was like, oh, well, that's pretty crazy, right? Took them out last night for one of my little tempo workout runs, because I got this half marathon coming up, which was, you know, some sprints of like 6:30 every so often for like 5 minutes at a time. They felt great during that too. So yeah, these definitely like hold their own as far as like being able to move quickly in them. So I got no complaints about that. I will say one thing about that. I was wearing some thinner socks, and the plate on here, seems like you feel it a little bit more, right? Which could just be me, you know, but I'm just saying, if you're gonna wear these, maybe go with some thicker socks possibly, because that plate thing, like, it makes for a bit of discomfort. It wasn't bad, you know, and it might have also just been the type of workout I was doing. But it's just something to think about if you put these on and they don't feel great to you, don't expect them to feel great to you until you're like actually really running. So past that though, I think everything's pretty alright with these, and I've got no complaints about them. Now, moving on past that, giving you like my overall opinion, because that's just how I feel about, did they work out for me or did they not, right? And they did. But how do I feel about these? Because there's other stuff out there to think about, I suppose. Now, to me, right, for a daily trainer or whatever, I don't know if this is really like my thing, honestly. You know, I'm a big fan of the Kayanos. They're not plated or anything, right? So it's kind of a different sort of comparison. Similar price point though. But I just kind of feel better in those. They're more comfortable overall. I can run in them pretty well. I can walk around in them pretty well. These, you know, you can't quite say exactly the same, so there is that. One other thing I will say about these, there are other things coming around. The Glide Ride Max 2 comes out soon, which would also probably be comparable. I don't know what the details are looking like, but I will say I didn't like the Glide Ride Max 1 a whole lot. In a way, I kind of would feel this was probably more comparable to the, the Magic Speed 4 perhaps, but that's on a crazy discount right now. So if you are looking for a daily runner plated shoe, and you want to stick within Asics, I would consider looking at the Magic Speed 4, because it's got to be on sale right now, or the Glide Ride Max, because it's also on sale since the 2 is coming up soon. And there are other brands to look at too, for sure. I know Saucony has something, I just can't think of the name of it. But either way, they work out fine for me. I can't say anything bad about them, but ultimately, like, will I still use these? Yes, I will. But like, if I was more selective about my lineup and I knew what I know now, I'd probably, I don't know that I'd buy them still, even though they worked out well for me. I don't know if that's really making sense. I'm just saying, just because something works out well doesn't mean you necessarily need it. You might already have something that does just as well for you. In my case, that's the Kayano 32. So take that or leave it, do whatever you want to. I'm done with the video. From me to you, have a nice rest of your day or rest of your night, whatever it is, wherever you are. Yeah, I'm done for the day, actually. Cool. Later, people.